So it's not here.
Yeah.
You see.
Okay.
Also, we're going to be directors meeting of November 18th, 2025.
Dale Olson,
Here.
Achenbacher,
Here.
Brian Parker,
Here.
Charles Kimball,
Here.
Patty Chapel,
Here.
And staff.
Kyle Rudman.
Wendy McKay,
Mark Kramer.
Kelly Strange, Sarah Klein.
Rob Courier. Rob Roder.
And is there any guests online?
It's got Alicia and Rob are the two staff members, no public. Chad's here from our.
And Chad Stokes.
Chad. Yeah.
Okay, is there any changes to the agenda timeline?
I don't think so. Chad is with us. We were gonna maybe move that, but I think we're good to go, so.
Oh, so. The public meeting and proceed to the executive session. Executive session is held pursuant to ORS 192.6602F, which allows a governing body to meet in executive session to consider information or records that are exempt by law from public inspection. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will reconvene for workshop or session. During the executive session, return to the public session. Treasurer's report.
Right.
Claims for.
Sarah will come up here and join us. You notice we got everything back in order by size of expenditure. All that.
Right.
The team up there doing awesome with when one of our folks being out, so really appreciate it.
Just a few items for you. Converge Technology Solutions for $74,000 and change is to replace 3 of our virtual desktop servers. Those servers were nearing end of their reliable lifespan and needed to be replaced.
How many of those do we have?
Are there 3 total?
Just 3. Oh, okay, so we're replacing all of them.
So we're actually going down. We have 4, and just because technology gets better, this next refresh cycle is 3.
So if they're virtual, are they really good?
What's that mean? Yeah.
Wow. Hardware.
Words that mean lots of things.
This,
Virtual money in our bank.
Yeah.
this does in theory save us money because instead of having robust desktop computers everywhere, we have servers and then they clients connect to them.
Yeah, we get a lot of resiliency out of this design too. So usually, to during major events, people are able to remote access and be functional, move to different desktops and workstations, and not have to deal with losing their workspace basically.
All right. Item number 2 is for Higher Ground Line Builders for almost $51,000. That's the final payment for an excavation job. You've seen payments related to this job on prior check registers. It's for the first phase of the Creswell substation feeder job. It is included on the major capital upgrades list, and the board approved this contract via resolution back in June. Item number 5 for Right Systems for just under $25,000 is for the replacement of 50 routers out in the field related to our field collectors. these are related to our Tantalus, system.
Metering system.
And some of that equipment is nearing end of life, so this is the first round of replacements for those routers for the field collectors. There are about 200 of these in the field, so this is about a quarter of them. And then item number 274 is for US Bank. That's one of our regularly scheduled semi-annual interest and debt payments related to the 2013 refunding. Second to last.
That's all.
Very exciting.
I'll throw a party next July.
Yes, next November. And that's all I wanted to point out, so I'll turn it over to you, Dale, for.
I just have one question on item 34. I think I know the answer, but I just gotta ask. The gravel that was.
We like gravel.
SCS, is that the pad at short period?
Oh,
Pleasant Hill?
SCS Engineers, that's for Short Mountain.
That's our engineering firm that helps us.
Okay, right below it says Lost Creek Ross.
Oh, that.
Yeah, gravel.
That was for,
Substation.
the substation, we expanded a little bit, bigger section there, and we did it in-house,
That was
so.
a big pole.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Welcome.
That's all I got.
You've been here the whole time?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Two questions back on this, the Cresswell. There was some extra work involved.
Yeah.
Or unknown conditions.
Adders.
Yeah, how much was that off the original?
Yeah, that's a good question. Do you know how much the ad?
Or what it was for too?
I actually do know the answer to that, just not right off the top of my head. And I think we're gonna bring this item back in December. So can we pause on that and get back to you during the next meeting?
We can find out
That'd
in
be great.
between.
That
too.
and
Yeah,
there's a charge for extra umbrella insurance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Should that have not have been included in the original?
I think it was in there, wasn't it?
It was on
Yeah.
the resolution, the wording is a little interesting, so that's part of what we're gonna bring back in.
The resolution said that we would bring it back if there was a 10%
Yeah.
difference between the original and final quote. And we've been trying to be able, would that include the insurance or not? Because if it includes the insurance, then it puts us over that 10% threshold. So we were gonna, just to be safe, bring it back in so y'all could approve it. But
So
we can break out how much was just like extra work for block and other conditions that we found out there versus the insurance, what that looks like.
Actually, just one second.
So that was one question. The other one was we spent like 17 or 18,000 on tires. Was that like an inventory?
Yeah, a lot of times we'll grab a few sets and keep them in inventory, to get ready, and we'll keep running them out until, as long as we can to get good rubber for the winter. We keep spares too. I forgot to write down. Oh, it's way up.
Nice come over time on the trucks give you tires, if I ain't seen it for a while.
And Kurt, I'm not gonna try to answer that question on the cross winter time, but one thing about that,
Oh, Superior Tire. Yeah.
they left they really tightened their belts as far as doing that job, so it's, they left a bit of money on the table, so.
Yeah, but that, from our side, that's their problem.
No, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You bid cheap and try and make it up in change orders.
No.
I'm not saying.
Typically, it's
Actually, two of the change orders were credits to us as well. So
I'm just curious what,
yeah, so the original bid was $321,000, $331,32.26. The final total came to $358,396.25. So I mean, very close to that 10%.
we can figure out if any of that was related to rock things. That's typically what happens is they'll find rock in there, they have to work through, it's more expensive to work. When they're boring, yeah,
under the I-5.
yeah.
So a little bit more detail, DFN decided not to go under with us. So that conduit was removed from the bid, so that was one of the credits. We installed some conduit that wasn't in the original bid. There were some delays on the delivery of vaults. And so additional equipment and shoring was needed. That one was almost $10,000, $9,200. There is a difference between the estimated and invoice cost of delivery delays that resulted in a credit. And then there was a cobble construction adder. And that was at $175 per foot, which was part of the board approval. And the value of that change order was $21,000.
So that's more.
So that was the.
What she's talking about, Kurt, about the delivery was Oldcastle got it, was having issues getting those vaults built. They're having some internal, and they were at the time kind of the only game in town without completely wadding up the project and putting it off for months. So the contractor had to kind of deal with all the snafus that were involved with that. So,
Will we supply?
no, I don't think on those.
But they had to shore up the whole.
Yeah, and it was actually the delivery, the actual crane that they had to go, and all the different things that went on.
They were supplying the vaults and why are we paying for the delay if it was Oldcastle's call? Did we create the delay?
I think we're aware of it, that could possibly be, so I'll have to get back to you on that.
Yeah, it might have been a provision in the intent to bid process that would cover some of those costs. We can dig into it for the next meeting though.
Thanks. Anything else?
I don't have anything else. Here.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you. President's report. Extra organization updates. I think we were all. Right, wasn't that the. Let's go on
CBC, for partners, and our co-crews.
And on COU,
Yep.
COU.
which was a little better attended the first one, so.
Yeah.
It's encouraging.
Good, pretty good discussion.
And then on that Opuda. So we have to the whole structure of Opuda's changed. So to me, it doesn't really make much difference what we do, but it's kind of the general managers are running the thing now. But so we have a representative and an alternate, right? So currently, I think I'm the voting representative.
Correct.
Yeah, and I'm not sure who the alternate is.
I think I was.
You were?
I think it was me.
Oh, yeah, maybe it was.
So I think you, if I remember right, when I came around in whatever year it was, a few years ago, I think Patty was the voting rep, but
Yeah.
you weren't attending, so somebody appointed me. And so I became the voting rep, so the thing now, there's 6 boards of directors and 6 voting reps.
Yeah.
From the 6 PUDs, so there's essentially. Well.
Yes. Well, I think there's one vote per PUD.
One vote for PUD, so if the voting rep, if the board's appointed voting rep, or if the board disagrees with the general manager.
I'll tell you who's gonna win.
You have to decide how you're gonna vote.
So I can't wait to see when that actually happens.
So
I can't envision that ever.
I wouldn't think so.
Seems like
So,
something we have to consider.
So the 6 general managers are called the executive committee.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Kyle got appointed as treasurer, which is
So I'm
great.
not sure how that happened.
So we need to just make sure who wants to be the voting representative and alternate.
Yeah, Danelle asked for a name just for next year, so. Danelle asked for some names for next year, yeah.
So
Danelle,
we just have to, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, wants,
I'm fine if you keep doing it.
pardon?
I'm fine if you keep doing it. Like you say, it doesn't really mean much. You gotta have a name.
So what's that, what do you?
I'll be the alternate or I'll do it, whichever one.
All right, okay.
I'm fine with all of the above. Yeah. Go on.
So, why doesn't, yeah, so this next year, let's make, I don't really care. Either of us, either the only one can vote, so whoever happens to be there, it looks good when you're there and vote.
Mhm.
Rather than remote, so, you're gonna plan on going, Patty, Seth?
Yeah. God forbid that the I-5 is still running.
And we both have blue cards, so I don't care,
Okay.
Patty can. be
Okay, that works.
I'll be the alternate.
That works for me.
Everybody's, of
Just
course,
as long as we're represented, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, good.
And then if we get in a big fight with Kyle, then that's,
We're gonna pull Patty.
I don't know
out and
how
say, "Hey,
it is."
soften him up.
I don't know how the other gyms are handling that, but you guys win in that scenarios.
well, I would think, because if they don't,
Yeah, we can fire me.
we can eliminate them.
Yeah.
Okay. Takes care of it.
And I didn't know, we put that on there for organizational assignments, if there's any others that want to talk about, they're typically, Okuda is really the one that they asked for a voting delegate. I think PPC, I think I'm the voting delegate in that scenario, but,
Are you on the executive board at
not the
PPC?
exec committee, but there are, like, the annual meeting, there was a vote, and I was trying to remember, I think I'm the voting delegate there. I could double check that to make sure.
You're NWPPA,
I'm the voting delegate.
I think the EPA has something over here to that, so I don't think there's any others that are that official other than Okuda have to really worry about, unless somebody really wanted to step up. and do it.
APPA only matters if you're going.
Yeah,
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 they will have a business meeting where you have to vote.
yeah, they typically have to strangle people to get them to go to that, get a quorum, but
there's
yeah.
others, yeah.
Well, I definitely like APPA, but let's talk a little bit more about that Public Power Council annual meetings. What'd you think of all the former BPA administrators? Did you remember what Randy Hardy was talking about Donald Trump?
Yeah,
It's there.
I thought that was a great conversation.
It really was. It was fascinating to hear those guys.
Getting them all in one place, and they even had Bill Drummond, who was only there for like 6 months, and then he
Right.
out because of some HR issues they were having. So he had the shortest tenure of all. But he had some good things to say too, just about the experience.
It was, it was, it was like the elder statesman,
Mhm.
for lack of a better word.
Yeah. And then I thought it was really nice that John Hairston came in afterwards and gave his talk and was sort of continuing on with a
Yeah.
new approach to
I like
things.
I like that too.
It's amazing the size of that organization though. And
Yeah.
how that head person keeps a handle on 3,000 people.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was interesting that Randy Hardy said he was the administrator in the mid-90s. It was 4,000 was the cap. I think it actually goes back to Ronald Reagan. He came in and said, no federal organization is going to have more than 4,000 or something. And he said that level. And then Randy Hardy in the mid-90s took it down to 3,000. So he had to really reduce headcount. And it's been there ever since. They have not raised headcount since 1995 or whatever that was. So credit to them for at least holding the line on resources.
Computer and IT alone should
Yeah.
help us.
Well, of course, the way they get around that is they have like an army of contractors. So they've got all these people on staff that work at EPA, but they're technically contractors, so they don't count against the headcount. But it's a lot to manage.
Truckload of 1099s.
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
It's just hard, it's hard to get,
Yeah.
yeah.
I thought that was great that Scott pulled that off, getting them all together.
Yeah, I did too.
Okay,
More training.
You guys fall asleep?
We got you.
Okay. Just
We're
check-
going to read
And you're checking if you were.
on the wrong page. Board training and development. Any ideas?
There's the wildfire thing I saw somewhere is coming up, I believe in January in Portland.
Seven.
Yeah, I'm over it. Did I ask you to register me for that?
I think they piggyback that with the power supply conference.
There are actually
Yeah.
3 of them this year. They're gonna do 3 days in a row, and I can't remember what the third one.
The data centers or something like that, new large loads,
Right.
something like that.
That's in January.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad, if you can get up
I
there,
never been to the wildfire.
you can hit a couple topics in just 2 days. It's actually a pretty good deal.
Well, I think the wildfire one maybe will have some a little more flavor this year because of the Fix Our Forest Act, and depending on what stage that's in,
Yeah,
that could be a really good deal for.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the date of those meetings up there?
January 27th, January 28th, and January 29th. The first one is about data load center. I mean, the second day is data load center growth summit and power supply conference is 29th. So it's 27, 28, 29.
Kind of weird they put the data thing in the middle, because most people will do the wildfire and power supply.
one of people to see the whole thing.
Right.
North Moscow, they like those data centers.
I'm sure they'll talk at that thing. Yeah, Google or something.
That's gonna get more interesting as time goes on.
Yeah.
It is nationwide.
Yeah,
It's huge.
It'll be interesting what happens tomorrow when Pacific responds.
yeah.
They have to
They're-
respond to that.
They're going through a PUC proceeding with Amazon right now. Amazon called out Pacific Power on their approach to
Wow.
data centers,
Well, they
not,
gotta
not
tell-
allowing them to come in, so.
Whatever that means,
Yeah.
they have to respond by.
Well, there's gonna be pushback. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
Yeah.
Whether the state of Oregon has any muscle to speak of is.
They're turning data centers into the boogeyman for sure, because that's kind of the one place everybody can agree we don't like, so.
Well, that's the administration's golden child, so, you know,
Be interesting
of
fight.
course, Oregon's gonna be opposed to it.
Yeah. One tangential thing on this is, Danelle mentioned at Oputa that, they've been coming to some of the board meetings, so I might try to get Danelle and Mike in here early next year, just to kind of give an overview of Oputa, what's going on in the legislature. And then I think she mentioned trying to get some local, representatives or state legislators to come to our board meeting too. So we'll see if that's a possibility. I think, there could be some in there just to kind of build some bridges, do some relationship building. So
I think that'd be great.
so if I catch somebody, I know like Harvick would be happy to come.
He expressed interest in coming to a board.
Yeah. We got some workshop dates. We can probably work some of those into. See if we can at least, before the next session, get some connections made.
I think you don't have, any place, I don't see anything on here to talk about budget, we can do that now.
Yeah,
Outside
fine.
meeting reports.
Right. That's fine.
Okay, all right, so just letting everybody know, I went over budget in October unexpectedly. I should have caught it, but I didn't see the September summary till October was almost over. So I was 500 over in October, and I anticipate that for the remainder of the year, be an additional 2,000, so about 2,500. And we talked about exempting my NWPPA costs. I said before, I don't care, I don't really come to the board and letting you know when I go. I just missed it by a couple of weeks this year. So, if anybody objects to that.
Well, remember, you called me about 2 weeks and you said, I think I'm going over budget.
Yeah, I had
So
still
you were on it, you just didn't know how far.
So. Yeah, that,
Could happen to anybody.
so when we get like Charles's obligation, the NWPA, it's in relation, it's significant in relation to our other budget, so it might be one. But maybe at a workshop or something next year on our compensation, and if somebody is appointed or is on a board like that, that's.
Yeah.
No, it's That's a big
It
obligation.
it removes what you wanna do with your budget.
Yeah.
It forces your budget to be spent on something that you have to versus.
Well, I already cut back on other stuff because of NWPPA. I
That's
had, last year I did very little PPC stuff because I knew, you know, that budget was, and I was the Oakwood president and that took a bunch of extra stuff.
I don't think that's good. I think if you're good, I mean, if you wanna go to meetings, there should be a budget for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree too. You know, as I have said repeatedly throughout some of our conversations, the board members should be able to educate themselves at whatever meeting they want to go to. That's part of our job. And part of the job to going to all those different meetings is networking with other people in the industry. And that's important.
I think that whole topic, like you say, come up in January at another meeting, but
Yeah.
I agree, there's more things need to be talked about too.
You have approval for my budget.
Yeah.
Yes.
That might be me.
Or
That,
sorry.
did she hear us?
Yeah, are we voting on something?
We just did a verbal approval, did you,
Nod.
a head nod, yay or nay?
Sure.
And
And I will say the total board budget is in fine shape, like we're gonna be under budget likely by the end of the
As
year.
it
So,
usually is.
yeah, so, but if you wanna look at reallocating things next year, that's a good time to maybe compensate if there's an assignment that's gonna take more.
Let's do that.
Hey. General manager.
All right, made it this far. Try not to bog us down. Wanted to give an update on low income. So this was a topic that's come to the forefront here recently with the shutdown and other things that are happening. So wanted to give you the lay of the land. Kelly's here. She can talk about some of the things that we've been thinking about internally. So despite the shutdown ending, LIHEAP funding has still not been released as of this week. There is growing political pressure to try to get this done, and the administration this week said we're going to expedite internal procedures to accelerate the disbursement of LIHEAP funds as soon as possible. So, not sure what that means, but they're talking about it.
Sounds like gobbledygook to me.
There was a group of bipartisan senators that sent a letter. We're trying to make some noise here. But what we know as of today is customers are not going to see funds until, I say January or December or January, but it's very likely going to be January at the absolute earliest at this point. Trying to get all the administrative stuff done.
And those funds come to us through the county.
Yes, they just come to us through the county.
is there any room for us to increase our?
We'll talk about that, yeah. So the big deal with this though is even if the funds do get released, the hangup is gonna be these third parties that do the income qualification. So Kelly can talk more about the folks that we use, but it's Catholic Community Services, I believe.
Right, so there's multiple agencies, there's groups for our seniors and then kind of what they consider general population. And right now, this has affected them because they're not getting their funding, right? They do their hiring seasonally for their assistance programs. So you can't, staff if you don't have that funding coming. So it is going to, I would speculate based on working with them, cause even some more delays because they've got to staff up and ramp up before they can even schedule appointments and process paperwork and do everything, assuming that does start happening in January.
People have to qualify fresh every year for those.
So they send out all the applications for people who have already qualified first. So they will start doing that in January, and then they'll open up waiting lists for folks who aren't automatically getting that paperwork. Those people still have to turn in the paperwork, right? They're not just giving them money based on, but those people are first to get those applications out the door.
So this income qualifying thing is actually a big deal for us too, because even if we wanted to run our own program, we don't have the tools to be able to go and say this person qualifies right now.
Right.
We could take some shortcuts with that, but as we'll talk about, that gets kind of messy.
Yeah.
Could open us up to a lawsuit.
Yeah, So we have considered what you mentioned, which is opening up Helping Hands early. Typically, Helping Hands opens the first part of next year, right?
First part of Feb, we try and
Yeah.
shoot for the first Monday in February,
Right.
barring no ice storms.
Yeah. And Helping Hands funding is typically a lot less than what we see through LIHEAP, so it wouldn't solve the problem even if we didn't want to do it. But the biggest issue is just the administrative pieces. We're not set up to take, paperwork and other things to get people qualified. That's something that we rely on.
We spend Helping Hands early.
That we're borrowing, that's another issue, is that, we can't make them qualify people, and that gets messy, but we're also borrowing funds from a church. So when people do need Helping Hands next year, that would be money that would be coming from.
So how would, IHEAP work if they got it together, they came in later? Still the original Helping
Yeah.
Hands.
I think that's what everybody's hoping happens.
The sooner LIHEAP can fund, the better for our customers, right? Those people, our most vulnerable people, really are dependent on LIHEAP opening, because Catholic Community Services, or whoever the agent community is sharing, those are the two agencies that administer our Helping Hands. It would not be to our best interest to open that at the exact same time they're trying to start LIHEAP, because that's going to be their priority, right? So it might delay us a little bit, right? So I think we just have to work on some other things we can control.
So the dance is gonna be, how can we bridge the gap for some people here and not get into a disconnect situation? We're actually pretty good at that. Our customer service team is great at working with customers to either arrange payment plans or a different timeline that might take this go around to avoid those types of scenarios. That's what we're basically proposing here, is letting our team kind of work with individual customers and being extra generous this year, knowing that LIHEAP hasn't shown up. We're not going to be looking to turn people off.
Right.
There have been some, I'll get to it here, there have been some blanket announcements from the IOUs around no disconnects. They've already said, we're not going to cut anybody off during this season. Some state legislators have got involved. We're not quite ready to go there. Go ahead.
I'm a little unclear if it's that they're not going to turn any customers off, or if we're just talking about our income challenged or low income groups, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
we want to
Yeah.
focus on is we are a much smaller utility. We have a lot more control in our customer service group to look at that before customers, right? And our mechanism would be really, have they gotten assistance before? Whether it be LIHEAP for 2024 or Helping Hands for 2025.
So do you have to have what, LIHEAP working for Helping Hands? Is there?
You don't have to have received the funding, you have to be able to qualify for it, is what we try and explain to our agencies. Because it could be you don't call, let's say Catholic Community Services until April 1, because you just signed up for electric service, right? But you would qualify, but they don't have funding to give you right then. They would then consider them for Helping Hands, knowing that they're at least on the list and would qualify. So there's some, things that have to go on through these agencies, but it is important for us to work with an agency that has the way to qualify for LIHEAP. We need somebody who can really verify income and that they really do fall under that low income.
Pardon me, but does Meals on Wheels or some of those programs for the senior, or some of those, I mean, they must qualify perhaps some way? I don't know, but
They do, but again, it's staffing, right? There's hundreds of our customers calling to try and get this assistance, and
wow.
it can already be a challenge even in a normal LIHEAP season for customers to get a hold of somebody at these agencies because they're
Right.
busy.
No, I know. I've heard some horror stories too.
Yeah, they only staff part-time for this type of work, right? So we know there's going to be some challenges, and our hope is that we just are allowed to be much more flexible with that group of people, right?
Generous.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
So what is
Extra
generous?
well, I mean, I think the dance here is, how do you get through this period without having a huge kind of backlog of unpaid bills.
Yeah.
We've this blanket approach where you go out and say, we're not gonna disconnect anybody who can get you in that situation if you're not careful. That's why Kelly's saying, we wanna make sure that the folks that we're giving that benefit to, we're saying we're not gonna cut you off, that they are the income challenged folks. And I think for that, we're gonna look at things like, did they get assistance last year? And allow our customer service reps to kind of work with them individually to make that happen.
And are they getting any other kind of assistance? You know, I
Yeah.
mean, there's
Yeah.
our different programs that come through LCOG, and I mean,
Yeah.
we've got a lot
Yeah.
of programs.
What is the LIHEAP budget for the state?
I don't know, we
I
get about
don't know
100.
what, I just read that too, Dale, and I didn't write it down. I
That
know,
number right there is gonna determine how fast they get
I
it.
just read it.
We get about 190,000.
I asked for the state.
Oh. Yeah.
That'll be a determining factor, how fast they load, how many people.
I mean, really, the dance is also with these agencies having staff to go through everybody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what they
right.
do is they open up the first business day of a month. People leave messages to get on what they call their waiting list. They can only process so many slots, then they don't open it back up. Not because they don't have funding, right? It's just you can only get through so many people, right? So the challenges are real for these agencies. This only exasperates that for them and our customers. So we're just trying to make sure we're as flexible with the time that this is going to take this year. It's really about us giving them more grace on when they make their payments, how much they make on their payments. Maybe it's equal payment plans. I mean, there are lots of different options we can talk to people about. We're just gonna have to pull out all the stops, I think, until we can get that at least started and going.
So, no, the other thing with the administration is they say, we'll release the funding, but we fired all the people that do that,
That's
so we're
true.
not sure how it's gonna get done.
Yeah.
So extra generous means we wanna add to the budget for helping hands or what?
I think it means just in terms of athletic or normal process of disconnects, not going down that road. We don't have to, yeah,
Or like spread it out, let them,
yeah,
don't shut them off.
yeah. If we
Especially if they were on it last year.
Yeah, exactly. If we come out and say though, like, nobody's gonna get disconnected, that just creates a whole bunch of problems on its own.
Incentive for people to straighten
Yeah.
out their bills.
But I do think we're gonna be extra considerate that people
Is
are
there-
not getting assistance.
Is there any way we can do a list of people that used helping hands and when they go delinquent payments, we can reach out to them?
I think our team will be looking at all that. I do, yeah.
You have to be careful though, you get sued.
Oh, we can get sued anyway.
I know, but you can't just pick,
Yeah.
you know, you
Yeah.
can't pick people, we're back to the thing, they have to be vetted by somebody.
There are some extraordinary measures that Kelly can take if we get into a real spot that we do have some contacts in some of these agencies we can tap into if we really had to go and say, is this person qualified? We can do that. We're just not gonna,
No, during the
Right.
pandemic, when they suspended shut-offs,
yeah,
you remember the statistics, a lot of people said, shut out and pay my bill.
yeah,
And then
Yeah.
it
Rent stuff was a big.
got into a big
Yeah.
snowball. and-
yeah, and that's the danger.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But we're gonna err on the side of the customers here, especially if we know they've received assistance before. We're gonna work with them. Nobody's gonna get shut off during a cold winter months or whatever else.
I mean, I tend to prefer that individual type. If, say, somebody's normal bill's 200 a month or something, and then last year,
Yeah.
if most of these, not all, but a lot of them have a history.
Mhm.
And they're getting, I assume he subsidizes them. So if they were getting $50 a month last year, then you could still say, okay, we're not getting that, but you're not,
Yeah,
but you can sure pay the rest.
yeah.
Keep that part of it going.
It's typically how those conversations go.
Yeah, something like that.
Hey, but you can't.
So that's our proposal, is to let our team do what they do best, which is to work with customers individually. And we will, again, be very generous in terms of any decisions we make. And rather than just announcing, nobody's gonna get shut off, we're gonna just keep it to that.
I'm right.
Go to the hospital, you know.
That may have been approved.
If we get new information, or if it looks like this is gonna be, not happening at all next year, that could change things pretty dramatically. Right now, balances aren't too terrible. We haven't seen a lot of cold yet, but that'll start, December.
Starting this morning.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's gonna, I've read some stuff about this one millionaire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Long-term weather forecast. are
Yeah.
out there.
So we'll stay on top of this and we can get back. If we feel like we need to do more, we can always go that
There's
route.
deals.
Ooh.
I've been watching the weather for 40 years.
Or just let it go.
Right now, it's just an FYI. So if we need more money, it doesn't feel like that's the challenge right now. It feels like it's just the process has to play out before we can really do a lot. Okay, some good news. We got our first BPA load follower bill. So after being a Slice customer for whatever it was, 13 years or something, now we're a load follower and the bill looks like this. It was a $1.8 million power bill. Our staff came in pretty close. They had forecast 1.856. So they missed it by a little bit, but on the right side of things. So that's credit to Rob and Bitch upstairs for making that happen.
A lot of them pay it all.
Yeah. I guess general thoughts. It looks complicated, but it's actually pretty predictable, it sounds like. And we think there's just not going to be a lot of volatility in this thing. We're going to be able to know month to month exactly what we're paying, which is quite a difference from where we've been.
Looks like a grocery list to a Chinese restaurant from here.
It's complicated. Just to give you a sense of what our slice bill looked like, this is the slice bill from last year in November. Actually simpler because we were doing all the market stuff ourselves. So
Yeah, the hidden part had to pay cost, so it didn't have.
it looks like it's cheaper, but that doesn't include all the market purchases we buy.
No, I get that.
So now it's all on one bill and is long, but at least it's predictable for us. So it's a big welcome change.
Yeah. We have to put some new cost centers in our accounting program for that.
They're working through it. Yeah, actually, the biggest challenge is the on the transmission side is the Halsey mills and the new large loads that we've got out there and trying to decipher everything.
I see.
Changed there, so scheduling is a little different with that.
I get that.
Short Mountain production, again, more good news here. So as we move toward this next chapter out there, we're actually going to go out on an extreme high note for gas capture and power production. Our previous record was in 2011. We had just under 24,000 megawatt hours produced on a gross level before we actually consume anything out there. This year, we're already within striking distance, so 23,274. We've got 6 weeks left, so we're in good shape trying to break that record. We should be there any day now. And that I just will say is despite the county having closed one of the cells for the entire summer. So really, really great work from the guys out there to make that happen. And
Cool.
Kudos to them for making that work. And it makes a really good impression with WAGA as we go through these negotiations that we're seeing these numbers come up. So big credit to them. Also at Short Mountain, we just did a gas composition test. It was something that WAGA asked about. They were testing for hydrogen sulfide, which is a really nasty substance when it comes to
Deadly.
renewable natural gas, especially because they have to spend a whole bunch of money to remove it. Luckily, those numbers came in fine. We did, however, have some total methane readings that were lower than expected. Jason on our team is convinced it was a problem with the test methodology. We were running the flare at the same time we had our engines running, and that was adding too much oxygen in the mix. So he has been great about pushing for a second test, and we're going to get that done with just the normal conditions operating. We don't expect that to show anything different than what we always see, which is about 50% methane. I think we'll be totally fine on that, but just wanted to let you know that's happening out there too. Real quick on hydropower, I'm working with River Partners on a what they call a sponsored content interview. This is where you pay for advertising, but it kind of looks like it's a newspaper article. You've probably seen this out there. So I've been working with them on the high points. You can't read most of this, I imagine, but this will be in the Oregonian. It's going to be, I think, an interview style with me responding to questions from the reporter. Talking about the benefits of hydropower, and then specifically in Lane County, we talk about how 6 of the 7 utilities here rely on hydropower. How the threats to hydropower would raise rates for everybody. So it's supposed to be a local story about what's going on around here in Lane County. So when that comes out, I'll send it over to you.
Good for you, Kyle.
Well, it's the River Partners is great about this stuff. You saw that they got that letter last week too from DeFazio up there, which is. That's great. I mean, those are folks that people we need listening to. So they're really doing great work. Last thing I have is a quick review of our priority projects for this year. So just a reminder, ever since I've been in this job, every year we go through a process to plan our work and we identify which projects we think are going to be most important. The goal is to have a thoughtful process when we do this. You know, we use it to allocate budget dollars, provide guidance to staff, inform you all and our customers why we're investing their money where we are, and ensure that we're making progress on the strategic plan. So we have 12 of them in 25. I wanted to give a real quick rundown on how we're doing. So employee and leadership development, really good progress here. Alicia's had training plans now for all of our leadership team and a lot of our staff are going through. We have external coaching that we brought in to help some of the managers and supervisors, and we're working on our onboarding experience and performance feedback tools. So we've really tried to place a focus on our management group this year and our leadership team, and then we're going to continue that next year with our entire staff. Incident command system, where these folks were before they came over here, was at a training over at the county building, I believe. So this is, again, the way that we're going to operate during major events. This is the federal approach, incident command system to operating event. Those types of things. It allows you to plug and play with different organizations like the county, like other utilities. We kind of ran this during the ice storm, but we want to just do it more formally now. So that's well underway. Doug's heading that effort up for us, and we're going to be on track to at least try pieces of it during this upcoming storm season. Capital plan, I mentioned, we're going to execute $7.6 million out of the $8 million major system upgrades this year. So that's largely on track. We've got some big projects done like the Crestwell substation feeder, 2 FEMA jobs, Mohawk River Road and Kennedy Lane, we expect to get done also. So good progress on that. I think we only have 1 FEMA job left out of the whole group of 6 or 7 that we took out many years ago to do hazard mitigation work on. That's Taylor Butte. That's the last one we got to get through. That's a big one. Joint use program development, that's when we identified we wanted to make progress on. So we have an updated contract now. We've sent that over to one of our full attachment companies. They're looking at it. We're going to go through a negotiation. That's going to take a while, but at least we've got the contract underway. We've got a new employee who's been really going gangbusters, working on process, holding, our comm folks to account when they're not doing what they should be doing. We just billed for some bootleg attachments I saw that came through the other day, $50 to $100 that we got for a new company that came into our district and didn't tell us. And so we're gonna start getting that revenue more and more now that he's looking at these things. So more to come there, but I think we've made a lot of progress this year to really start to put a program in place that can be sustainable on short use. Next one, external outage map. This is exciting. We're actually going to try to demo this for you next month. We have turned on the outage map that is available to customers from NISC. It's kind of a high-level view of where things are happening across the district. There's hot spots on it, so you can see in your area if there's an outage occurring. There's varying levels of information that we can provide through that. Whether it's crew status, whether it's ETRs, all that stuff we can get to eventually. But we're going to try to just identify what is the map that we want to put out to customers and actually try to have that done by sometime early next year to be able to go live with it. So that'd be great. We think we're going to start hopefully next month to give a demo to the board so you can see what this looks like. But this has been a long time coming. Really appreciate, it has, I know. Kelly and Mark and team for making this happen. Doug's been involved too, but this is going to be a big deal for customers, something they've asked for.
People are going to love it. People are going to love it.
Most utilities have it.
Yeah, they do. And the challenge for us has always been getting comfortable with the data and the accuracy of the data. And I think at some point we're going to be like, it's good enough. And there'll be some challenges here and there, but I think it's going to be something customers really appreciate.
So I'm just trying to envision, so is it a staff that sits there and updates as he's talking to dispatch, or how does that work?
Well, it's largely automated, but there's interventions we can
Really?
make.
It's automated?
Yeah.
Our
Like
AI
reads the
system.
by the meter?
Yeah. And then it has some prediction. So it can say, for instance, like if this feeder line's down, then all these people are down, or go up and down the chain.
So you go by the meters, Kelly, you do, but you're fully aware of them. The meter might not come and start reading for 2 days, even if it's hot.
Yeah. So there's
That's where the predictions really help out.
Prediction on top of that.
Yeah, because there'll be enough others that are coming back and communicating well, those will be factored in.
where it gets tricky is in like switching scenarios. You have to kind of program some logic in there.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Understand how that all works, but we're going to go with the best we can, and I think it'll still be very useful during a major event. We're going to have to babysit it. Someone's going to have to be in there,
Oh, yeah.
making sure things are accurate.
Getting it's first that.
But It's a long time coming. I'm glad we're getting here and appreciate all the staff making it happen.
Yeah.
These are no surprise. Short Mountain Robust Gas, we know that's moving forward. We got to get it done by December 17th. We fully expect to. The facilities plan you'll hear about in just a minute. We'll give you a quick update on where that stands, but we do think 2026 is going to be the year that we really kind of turn full focus onto that once we know what's happening with Short Mountain. The last page here is mostly complete. So our Bonneville contract's been executed. That's great. We've made some cybersecurity improvements we wanted to make. Credit to Rob back there for making that happen. We have our borrowing done. That was on the list. So great job there from Sarah. And then the last one is what we call external funding maximization. We had a lot of outstanding grants and other things that we wanted to bring, make sure we were getting accounted for. So the big one obviously has not happened. That's the ice storm money from FEMA. We're still hoping that does, but we'll see. We have, however, brought in about $1 million worth of FEMA funding from past hazard mitigation work. I mentioned we've gone down that list of projects and actually received quite a bit this year. And then Bonneville reimbursed us for the transmission job. So all told, almost $2 million this year we got in external funding. So credit for staff for making that happen. And that is my list for 25. I've mentioned this before, but this will be the 26th list. There's some carryover here. The leadership development, employee development, Short Mountain will be implementation, the facilities plan. We've got a phone system upgrade coming next year. LED lighting is going to be a big push. That's actually getting fast forwarded because we can't get the old lights, it looks like, so we're pushing LEDs hard. AP workflow is a big deal for our internal process. And then we've got a set of planning things that we want to do. Some of this with the board, obviously strategic planning at the bottom is going to be a big one. We want to put a new strategic plan together. And that's going to lead into quite a few other areas that you can see on here too. So we do this every year. It just gives us a way to know what's most important, what's going on. Utility. That is it, other than our next board meeting is scheduled for the 16th of December. We have the following on the agenda. We'll do our annual insurance review with WHA here. We've got an operations and engineering policy that we are scheduled to review. And then we'll have the Short Mountain contract approval scheduled for that day, which means we should schedule an additional early meeting to have Chad go through all the particulars with you before you have to vote on it. So there's a couple Tuesdays before that, either the 2nd or the 9th. So if you all want to think about that or throw a date out, we can work with you.
Keep going.
I'd rather the 9th.
Okay, sounds like we have one conflict on the 9th, Patty. So we could,
okay.
Those are just Tuesdays also, so we could do another day.
Maybe here on the 8th, but
The 8th would be a Monday.
Any day,
I could
I can do a
probably.
Monday.
I'm fine either way.
yeah.
The 8th maybe?
Yeah, I can do a Monday.
You have anything going on the 8th? I think we're good that day. I can verify with Chad, and if that works, we'll get it scheduled.
Okay.
Okay, do it in the afternoon like we normally do. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Get ready for that one. That's going to be a lot of detail.
Would it be good if we did it not too far ahead of the actual vote so we don't forget what we learned in 2 weeks?
So is it,
We may have to redo that. I've got a meeting that day, so we'll try to have Wendy.
Just
schedule
set a
separate.
date.
Yeah.
And you're going from 9th on?
I won't be back till the 18th.
Oh, so we
But
got.
I'll Zoom. I'll be
Okay.
available to Zoom at 16th. Can I vote you better on the 16th?
Sure.
Okay.
If you're zooming, yeah.
You can Zoom vote. You can Zoom vote.
Zoom vote?
Thank you. Not that makes any difference.
I might be able to step out of that meeting too. We'll see. All right, we'll follow up with you to get a firm date confirmed, but that'll be an important meeting too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Real good.
and that is my GM report.
I got one question for you. Back on the incident management.
SES, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember, but Todd from Tillman
Yep.
PUD is gonna, I think he's putting it together, he might even have, where utilities are, they're gonna do a mock-up storm like they learned before.
Tabletop, yeah.
If you get one thing out,
Yeah,
one of the things with Starlink, they have a little suitcase, it's a little antenna, and it takes priority, so you'll get service anywhere. It shuts other people's off.
oh, interesting.
So we have their service territory that if the radios are bad,
Yeah,
Warehouse right now has that in every one of their vehicles.
you know, yeah, it I told Todd, first thing's gonna happen to our crew, they're gonna drive through town and hit the button and shut everybody's Starlink.
So we actually did a big push this year to migrate a lot of iPads over to FirstNet, where we have optionality for priority and preemption on their network.
For their iPads and their.
For their iPads, and then they also have a lot of really cool, really similar to Starlink, like these hot boxes, right, where you can just basically deploy either suitcase style
That's what it
equipment
is.
to a location, or they'll drive a giant truck out for a big enough event to be able to provide connectivity.
So Todd is having a mock-up, so you guys, just one of the staff here went down there,
Sure.
if you got one thing, like you said.
Yeah, we'll see. He's the one that kicked this all off for us, actually. We had him in here for training when he taught us the ICS 101. So we'll follow up with him and see what he's up to there. All right, thank you all.
Hey, we're pretty break. Break, sure.
That sounds good.
Absolutely.
Couple-minute break, Patty, for the facilities.
Thanks for stuff.
Dale got there first.
No, I'll go to the other one, I'll go to the big one.
Yeah, you guys will hopefully use this one.
I was just joking.
Also, according.
Stupid. Everybody misstates.
We're back in session.
All right.
All right, so let's.
Yeah, we've got our Q3 financial review. So I will say this will feed a little bit into the budget discussion next, after this, when we vote. As Sarah will explain, we're looking good this year. I think that could help determine some of what we would take action on. So go ahead.
All right, so we'll just start right in, looking at net income. This is Kyle's favorite chart.
It is.
So we're projecting net income to be 5.7 million higher than budget. That's despite retail revenue coming in under budget, or projected to come in under budget, as well as surplus sales. But that's being more than offset by lower power costs, lower than budgeted power costs. The rest of the story is pretty similar to what we reported in Q2. But we can continue on.
I was just thinking this chart's gonna get really boring in the future because the power costs are so much longer.
It might not be your
It may not
favorite
be my
anymore.
favorite chart.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Revenue will be the big,
Yeah.
big story. So maybe we can come up with a fancy new one.
That's right.
All right.
We won't see these babies.
Should be much less.
See them be closer to.
It'll be a different scale, much more compressed.
Right.
All right, so retail revenue, still projecting to come in a little under budget. It's a little bit better than it was at Q2. Residential, again, weather and lower new connects, and then similar with commercial. Industrials projected to come in a little bit better than budget, even with absorbing the one lost industrial that we knew about at the time we budgeted. Let's see, so this is looking a little bit better, the middle Q3, middle part of the year, as far as comparing our actual sales to our budgeted sales. We were getting a little nervous at the beginning of the year. They're getting a little better. Wholesale revenue, hugely impacted by power markets and the water year. And we're relieved that the remainder of the year, Q4, will all be on the load following contract. So the only thing that's really left in this category is related to the White Creek Wind and the green and brown power attributes. Other revenue includes our interest on our investments. I didn't budget for interest on the new borrowing, so that's coming in significantly over budget. It's just kind of one of those conservatism things. And then moving over to the cost side of things, our power and transmission costs are coming in significantly under budget. Again, mostly due to the wholesale pricing and lower than expected loads. So kind of corresponding with that revenue decrease. And that brings us to gross margin, which we are projecting to come in 2.5 million over budget. So moving down to the customer support and system maintenance costs, these numbers are really, really close to what we reported at Q2. Not a lot of swings here. Still the same story as in Q2. There are a couple of projects that aren't happening, and then there is some work that's being done at the Halsey substations that was originally characterized as capital work that really is O&M. So we've adjusted for that in the system maintenance cost category. Operating margin is projected to be 2.9 million over budget. So really reflecting our efficient operations. And then debt service, same as Q2, updated to reflect our final property schedule for the new 2025. I didn't make a note for other expenses, but other expenses includes property taxes, and we did get our final property tax numbers, and they are coming in.
Oh,
So that brings us again to net income, which is projected to be budget by 3.1 million.
Quick question. On sale property taxes.
Yeah.
We pay property tax, we pay on Short Mountain facility.
Everything out there is.
So when we're done with that, that will go away, but who pays the property taxes on? I guess it would be my.
WAGA at that point, yeah. So there'll be a facilities transfer that they actually acquired those facilities from us, the gas system.
Right, so
Also,
it'll be
we'll be off the hook for
our
that.
taxes theoretically.
They should.
A very small portion.
Yeah.
They'll quit going up as fast.
Yeah.
They'll quit going up as
Yeah,
fast.
that's all it is. Yeah.
Damn, that's a good
I
one.
don't notice, but
It's like medical costs, it always goes down.
Last time that happened.
all right. So this is just another picture for you, comparing our operating revenue budget to projection and the expense side budget to projection. Both again projected to come in under budget. Moving over to the capital side of things, we're still projecting to be, or I guess actually we hadn't done much of an update at Q2, but we are projecting to be under budget in the major system upgrades category just by a little bit. A lot moved around in the categories up above. I think we talked about that at Q2. There was a lot of movement in the substation category, as well as a few of the other categories. But in net, pretty close to budget. We're getting a lot of really good work done.
was that because of transformers didn't show up or material? Why did it?
Typically, it's just some of the projects didn't get executed. You're talking on substation.
Substation.
Yeah, that's a big number.
So that's because we didn't, as you know, we're purchasing a transformer for Pleasant Hill Sub.
Correct.
We didn't know if they're going to be delivering in Q4 this year, or Q1 next year.
Gotcha. That's big.
Yeah, it's a big swing.
And then that brings us to the grand total, which we are projecting to be about 1.5 million under budget. Similar view with the bar charts comparing the capital funding to the capital spending from a budget and projection standpoint. Cash reserves, I think Kyle spoke about this a little bit earlier. We ended 2024 much better than we were projecting at the time the 2025 budget was developed. That always happens. We're not quite to the end of the year when we're developing our next year's budget. So there can be some significant changes or shifts in our final ending cash. And so between that and borrowing 5 million more than we had budgeted, we are projecting 2025 cash to end significantly higher than budgeted.
You'll notice that the days operating cash is up, but not, it's not a dramatic increase, and that's because we're just assuming a lot of this is going to go toward covering capital work. The board could decide that if we want to do something to bolster operating reserves, that's a decision that we could make to put it there instead. And that could come into play when we talk about next year's budget too, what we're looking to do on that front.
Next year's, you mean 27's budget?
26, so we're expecting to finish this year as you can see.
In about 5 minutes.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Not like we're gonna talk about that a year from now.
Yeah, no, it's coming right up. We are way overperforming our ending year cash number. So right now, the default assumption is that we'll go to cover capital work. I know there was a concern that we wanted to do something to help bolster our operating cash reserves. We could choose to use a portion of this to accomplish that in lieu of doing some kind of bigger rate action next year in 26.
Headcount, no changes from Q2. We are still expecting to end 2025 at 87.25. And that actually it is looking like it's going to happen.
Actually, we just got an accepted offer today for our 87.25th employee.
Yes, so very
What's that
exciting.
position?
It's a senior IS information systems role, so they'll be helping with things like the outage map and some other things. It's actually an individual that's worked here before and is coming back, and we're excited.
Senior, so is that the senior staff too?
No, it's just senior for the technology group.
And then in total, from dollars and cents wise, we're looking like we're gonna be about 200,000 over budget. We had a couple of unbudgeted retirements. Medical is always such a wild card, but also comp time rules. It was really hard to budget for 2025 with the 2024 stroke.
Payouts for
It was tough. Yeah, so I probably underdid it. That category. So that is what I had prepared. Questions, comments?
No, nice to see that net
It is good.
where it is.
Conservative budget paid off.
Take pressure off from the pressure off above.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be seeing those kind of swings going forward, at least that's the. We had to do it that way because of the power markets being where they are. Usually you will end up with these types of big favorable results, but in the future, it should be a lot.
You were a little bit more nervous at the time of the Q.
Yeah, those sales numbers were not very encouraging. In about May, it was looking like we were.
Yeah, mild weather.
Yeah. It really was.
So looking ahead, the way we split our rate structure will affect how
Yeah.
that varies.
Yep. And I will say the way that the board has already implemented that over the last 10 years is hugely impactful because the retail revenue is a lot more predictable than it's ever been. Given that we've got the basic charge now.
The basic charge
Yeah.
is up, that'll take,
Yeah.
as that goes up, then that takes some of the.
We're much less susceptible to big swings in weather and the revenues come along with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's appropriate, I feel, because the cost to maintain the facilities doesn't go down just because we sell less power.
Yep, exactly.
So that's indicative that the base charge is the correct thing to be doing.
Yes, like fire.
Yep.
Fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Still
It's the same thing.
still
Yeah,
gotta
you're gonna buy a used truck, buy a used fire truck. They got 50 miles on them.
Gotta be ready.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, thanks, Sarah.
Okay, so.
All right. Okay. Rob's gonna come up, I think. We got one more informational item and then we'll get to the big votes.
All right, big votes.
Our goal tonight was just to give you a real quick review of where we are at with facilities planning. This hasn't been a huge topic this year, but we do expect it's gonna quickly become a topic of interest in 2026. So we wanted to get you just viewed on where we're at, where we left off when we last talked about this.
Sure, just open conversation questions, really just reviewing the timeline and how we got to where we're at and I'm here to speak, but this is a team that puts this together. Mark and Doug especially have been really helpful and there's a bigger group that helps put together the facilities planning last year. And I think we'll probably get that group together again and next year if we want to continue down this road. So kind of what this timeline looked like. We originally engaged with Cooperative Building Solutions sometime in 2023. I think that's right. And then we had there was some delays related to budget, the power cost blow up happened in Labor Day 2023, and we said we can't do this right now. And then the ice storm happened, and so there was a number of delays that happened, but
We started this work in January 2024.
it was February, right?
Was it before the ice storm or must have been?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely engaged with them and had like signed
Yeah.
contracts ready to go all around that same time. So it was kind of, yeah, and in tandem for sure. Yeah, so it was a multi-month process. We engaged this team here, and we worked closely with them to develop this comprehensive plan. That kind of wrapped up after about 6-7 months, and when they came into the board and gave a presentation on that, we provided that report in the board packet last week, so that if you guys wanted to look at that, but given that and then everything else that was going on, Kyle put together this mini strategic planning meeting in August of last year. Remember that, where we talked about facilities for sure, but we also talked about Short Mountain. We talked about service territory acquisition, and we talked about long-term power supply, and kind of came up with consensus direction on each of those. And after that, we got this direction that, well, let's go and pursue what CBS kind of talked about, this option 2, where it's a keep the current headquarters, but we go and get a big piece of property and talk about building an ops center there, and long term think about consolidating. We talked about some criteria around what that property would look like and where it should be, but we took that direction and worked again with CBS to develop a phase 2 scope, and but that was put on hold because these other priorities definitely rose to the top of our list, and we spent most of 2025 working with those, and put this on the back burner until those were resolved. Kind of want to review a couple of the takeaways from the facilities planning itself. We've got one of the biggest takeaways on the needs side was the need for more space. We've got a need for more interior space. We just added another employee, and we're having to shuffle around it, do the interior office shuffle again. But I think more importantly is the amount of outdoor space that we need. Covered space is becoming a lot more critical, and we don't have any. And so that's you can see, enclosed yard storage, that last line where we identified a huge need there, and we've got none of it. So overall, we just need a lot more space for a growing utility. These were the concepts that were developed during the original plan last year. There was the fluff and buff kind of minor renovation here that really didn't meet our goals and cost a lot of money. So that was not one we wanted to look at. And the new headquarters altogether met all of our goals, but cost a lot. And so we kind of tried to ease into this, and really I felt like that easing into it also helps us address some of the other strategic objectives, right? Like, where do you cite a headquarters when you don't know the size of your service territory? If we're looking to acquire new service territory, it's a really tough question to answer. Like, how big is your utility? Where are your load centers? So having some resolution on some of those other questions, like, will definitely help going forward.
Also helps on the funding side. So one of the questions was, well, we're gonna have to pay for all this out of pocket, and a discussion around Short Mountain, what might be available following that. So once we get a resolution there, as Rob says, hopefully there's a path forward. Yeah.
Yeah, and so each of those things, and then we've got a lot more cost certainty on our long-term power supply. Mm-hmm. So that was another kind of major issue that I guess we're talking about last August. And so we feel like we're really close to getting resolution on all of those except for facilities now. So that's why we want to bring this up. Just reminders of kind of where things sit. We've got a lot of vehicle traffic on the left side. It can cause safety issues. This is on the right side is all of our inventory that's in the rain all the time and the elements. This is Doug's meter shop. We'd love to get him a better space for his team. We've got space is absolutely at a premium, and we've got a kind of a war room or an ops center that could really use modernizing. Other things that came out of that facilities assessment are, the need for an entirely new HVAC system that's really old, and in addition to our electrical systems that are complex. No fire protection in the building at all, except for the server room. And we've got other compliance issues, including an elevator that needs pretty big investments to be replaced, and the ADA access is an issue. Not to mention the biggest one probably is just the structural integrity of the building, right? So the seismic. We've had multiple looks now at the evaluation of the seismic status of the building, and there's multiple deficiencies that were found. And then, so a number of things to think about. So looking again forward at what the phase 2 work involves, this has been on the shelf all year. We talked to CPS a couple of weeks ago. Mark and I kind of re-engaged with them just to let them know where we're at, and let them know that this meeting was going to happen, and we just wanted to probably bring this up again next year. It involves, just general project consulting services, really focused on property search and evaluation, and then working with a local realtor. And then once we found that property, they were going to kind of develop new concepts for that individual property, right? So we've got these broad concepts, like this is what it could look like, but it's a generic piece of land. So working with an individual known property, they would help us refine some of those concepts and do some due diligence on those two, right? So like, is the environmental, are there environmental constraints there that would limit its feasibility, or utility constraints, or things like that? At the end of the day, there would be kind of a presentation of what's found there. But I think along the way, what we were learning last year when we started in on this work is that there's really kind of this liminal space, right, where you're in like, well, we want to go get property, but we're not ready. Right, we kind of feel like if we're going to do this, we kind of need to start engaging on it seriously, and taking a look at property is something that they're got to be ready to go. That's the message that we got from a realtor, and so I think when we go and do that again, that we'll probably get that same message. Anything you want to add there, Mark? Or
Yeah, because we were talking to him, he's like, okay, so I found a couple pieces of property, and you're basically gonna have to either put earnest money to lock it up or whatever. It's like any other situation. You gotta be able to lock it up for a little bit till you can do a study and find out, is it a super fund? Didn't know they had that on there, or if it's gonna take, $10 million worth of excavation, and come to find out it's got wetlands all over it and all that, so you're gonna want to back out of it or whatever. So, weighing that against, a brown site that we talked about, what's ODOT gonna want? They're gonna want all these extra lane for turning and all the different things we're trying to engage in. But what we came through with that guy was like, be ready, and have the ability and the authority, if you will, to look at a piece of property and then we can do our due diligence.
So one of the things that we kind of talked about engaging in is some kind of maybe at a future workshop where we really dive into what is the criteria that the board would like us to approach property search with, and maybe we engage CPS to kind of help us develop that. And then we're walking away. Well, we're not. It's not a purchase order, right? But it is saying like, well, if it meets these, 80% of these criteria, then let's get serious about it and enter into maybe an intent to buy or something like that, where we can do some due diligence.
So has it been decided that we're doing one facility?
Mm-hmm.
No, you can have the other set of outline, and
I think that we're going to be open to all those scenarios, and just internally talking, it's hard to see us ever fully leaving this site.
it's a perfect spot.
Yeah, it's good satellite guard. Yeah, perfect.
The challenge is, of course, how do you negotiate with the staff in two different places, and that's all stuff we're gonna have to talk about.
It seems,
Other utilities good.
yeah, it seems to me that we on the board are not fully aware, I mean, we are somewhat aware, but we're not clearly as aware as, you know, you guys are in terms of operations, what the real time constraints are, you know, living out in the northwest part of the district. I'm mindful that when those guys drive a truck out where I'm at, they've already been at work an hour and a half to get loaded and get out there.
Yeah.
Now, but that's not the only criteria to consider.
Yeah.
From my point of view, well, having something somewhere between the Harrisburg Bridge and West Eugene is probably advantageous to Veneta and Junction City, but that doesn't mean that's all there is to the process. My point being that you guys, I think, are better suited than us to come up with the reasons why this and the reasons why that, and then present that to us in terms of a parcel that might be available to explain those issues to us once you've pre-evaluated them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Mark, are you on board with that?
I am, cause
Because I can think of what in my head things is important, but I don't know.
and we're kind of in the same boat. It's like, so there's, a couple ways to skin the cat. One is we think due to the way this is, zoned, the ability to get top dollar for it is not cool. So then we're gonna
discuss that.
Yeah, we discussed that. So then, it totally makes sense to have a satellite yard giving you some presence in the central and south areas, right? You don't want to just pick up like, hey, we're a Junction City company now. But to buy a piece of property that's large enough to be able to modularly build over time, right? So you get an operation.
It's gonna take 40 or 50 years or whatever.
I don't know, 20 years, whatever it is, but you just kind of work it over where you have a 25, 30 acre piece. Then you get an operations center. And then you go from there. Is it where headquarters is, and it's seismically, and we have a hard end.
No matter what we want,
We're working off the option 2 criteria here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's kind of
I
clear.
think that's the
I think
idea.
so too, yeah.
We would start out with some kind of ops center, and then over time, we could grow it, or we could keep it there and here, there'll be some options to go through.
Right. And I mentioned before, I think EWIM is a prime example of their whole yard down by Ferry Street Bridge.
Mhm.
They built a big yard
Yeah.
just for operations out of Roosevelt.
Yep.
Left their administration downtown. Over time, now they're all
Yeah.
out there.
I think the difference is they didn't plan to do that from the beginning. Like they were gonna have two sites, but they decided to consolidate because it was more efficient. So I think that would be an option for us, but it's not a requirement.
But there's a hint.
Yeah.
Why did they move admin out there? Because it was more
It's
efficient.
probably easier.
So.
Yeah.
that's a
It's
good
just an
point.
example,
Yeah.
but
I don't think there's one size fits all on this.
I don't think we have to make that
It's
decision.
very difficult
Yeah.
to consider what's
it is,
best.
and we're, yeah.
We'll have options.
They're in the city,
Yeah.
The shape of that service territory.
a long ways.
Yeah,
Takes a
I mean,
long-
it is a consideration too, and you guys kind of represent the customers here, obviously, that, we don't have a presence up there, and so there could be some value added if we could add.
I didn't mean to say we should put it there. What I meant was I see it from my point of view, but that
Yeah.
doesn't mean I know all there is to know
Yeah.
about the
Right.
operation.
But it's a consideration. I mean, the big factor we couldn't get past before was we don't want to separate the staff. And I think what we're finding is there's almost no way to do this that doesn't
Not to do it right.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big
There's
consideration.
always that big cheap screen on the wall and I can sit there and have group meetings just like you're in the same
Yeah.
room together. I mean, that's
Yeah.
another way to look at it.
I
I
think
don't
there's
think you can
ways-
fit everybody. You fit everybody in the lunchroom?
Today, no.
Yeah, it's standing room only.
Like Rob said, we're having to shuffle it.
Cut it down, you'll finish eating quicker.
Yeah.
No, I mean when you have an all-staff meeting.
Yeah, we have to have some people do remote now for all staff.
Right.
I get that.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds to me like we just need to verify
Talk about
this property.
Yeah,
And the property is gonna speak to us to some degree about
Yeah.
the criteria.
that's true. There's only so many sites.
What is available will dictate our choices,
Yeah, I mean, it's
whether
just,
we like it or not.
yeah, I mean, if it was my business, I would probably, buy the property and then, fence it, rock it, do the excavation. Just kind of factor that in
Maybe
over
talk
time.
to a point as we can afford it and then
Yeah,
pull the trigger when we're ready.
that could be what we do.
With this
That's all I'm
other
saying.
project we've talked about, hopefully there's a funding mechanism to help make that a reality too.
Right.
I'm hearing then the first step should be with staff. So working with CBS and maybe a couple of meetings with them.
That's what I think. You guys really know, and they know
Then we-
too, because they work with utilities, right?
For sure.
So
Yeah.
they'll have suggestions as well.
So we can start to dive into the space.
Then run this is why we think we should do this because these are the reasons to us. That's what I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
that works.
I think you're better suited than we are. Dale probably comes
I
closer
think,
than anybody.
yeah, the real concern is just we don't want to go out there pledge money for something if you are. So we just want to be in alignment.
I understand, you gotta
Yeah.
just hold on to stuff, so you can do your due diligence.
Yep.
Right,
Yeah.
to speak to they've already been on the road for an hour and a half by the time you see them.
Yeah.
They gotta leave earlier on the job and get back.
No, I understand, it's a two-way thing.
It's
No,
crazy.
I'm all aware.
It's gonna get.
I know what
worse.
it's like to drive in my car down here, let alone a
It's
6-5,
pretty
you know?
inefficient.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
For driving them big trucks.
A lot of
traffic.
road time.
Yeah, there's a lot about this intersection out here coming from northbound going south to come in that ain't exactly ideal.
No.
When I first decided trying to be on the board, it took me a couple of tries to get here.
I think everybody.
I got the wrong exit.
So,
Where the hell am I at?
I mean, Beltline after 3 o'clock.
You're done.
I guess we'll just.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, see, EWEB doesn't have to deal with that. They just drive through the middle of town. They don't have to deal with Beltline.
All they have to worry about is running over the homeless.
Right.
Well,
That's-
we,
Full speed ahead.
we'll plan on picking this back up early next year then, coming to board when we're ready.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure we reviewed it.
Hopefully by then we'll have this deal with, the other deal, but in the rearview mirror.
We should know.
Staff will be ready for a new project.
Just certainty, for
Just in
sure.
time.
We're just looking at those option 2 and 3, that total cost is insane.
Yeah, well,
That's pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
so.
Just whether we write the check
There
up
might
front
be
or not.
some-
question depends then, what are we gonna do with this,
And then,
Option 3, yeah.
also, we just borrowed,
Airbnb.
so that's 75 million, we just borrowed 40 million.
Yeah.
For systems improvements that we're gonna.
Yeah.
I mean, so
We're growing.
you start looking at, I start looking at these other numbers and it's not,
Yeah,
it's a lot, but still, it's.
that's true.
70 million's today's
Yeah.
price, what will it be 5 more years from now?
That's right.
Yeah, it's not getting
No
cheaper.
question.
Or we can do what Lane County did, just go buy some property and hope.
Speculate.
Well, that was stupid.
No, it wasn't stupid, it was arrogant.
Yeah.
Careful, guys.
Oh, I almost got to do a backup. Right.
Okay.
We couldn't get through.
All right, thank you, Rob.
Thanks for the update, Rob.
Thank you.
We'll be back on.
Now what?
Yes, sir.
Can I get a second to maybe address a earlier issue on a budget? Is this a good time? Fire away.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
So I got some information from Chris and I were texting back and forth and just hopefully I can kind of to that bid that was Crestwell I-5 thing. So the bid originally came in at like 321. The next closest bid was over 600,000. So pretty good deal. So the rock adder was 22,000. On top of that, it's $75 a foot. And when we go under I-5, we don't just, number one, you're going from basically cut bank to cut bank. Plus, ODOT wants you to be a certain depth under I-5. So they did run into rock, and it was $22,000 worth of rock adder that happened. Because we have to rainbow it. We have to do that to actually get up and get back to, start at a bulk clear up here, go under I-5 like 20 feet, and then come back up and hit your other, well, he also had a really good, cool machine that's really technologically advanced. He can really steer it really well. The insurance thing was, I think it was called out in the bid. It was, it's basically a non-standard for our contractors, and we kind of wanted it because we were gonna have material sitting out there. Nobody near it, and so we wanted to have it sort of any damage or stolen or anything like that. So I think it was around $6,000 or $7,000, whatever. it was.
vault?
Vaults,
You're not gonna steal a vault, do you?
conduits,
Yeah.
all that stuff. You know what I mean? So if somebody wanted to go over there.
They didn't steal the plywood, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was, blow
That's
holes.
inside a fenced area at the airport, isn't it?
No,
It's outside.
Oh, on the other side where you're talking, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
On the other side of Melbourne.
yeah.
Yeah.
So part of it too was they're running into the whole snafu with Oldcastle. They kind of called it out early, and so we're like, well, let's hope for the best. And it didn't come in as it should have. Then they were under the gun of having a big excavator that they had rented. And while we waited a week or two or whatever it was that we needed to, and so we're like, you know what, they're gonna have to demob it, or they're gonna be able to find the machinery because it was in the height of season. So we're like, okay, we'll take care of that. And we also asked for shoring. So then all of the stuff that they did, we didn't want them to lose a hole for these big bolts that we were installing. So that's kind of where things went, and just kind of an explanation.
Still less than 600 some thousand.
Yeah, and so we thought being, like agreeable and kind of working through some of this stuff, because there were some snafus that we just didn't see happen, but we still got it right around, what was it?
So that floor is
358?
actually 20 feet deep.
That comes to mind, but I know ODOT has a minimum that they want you to be under, so they can do their road work and not have to worry about it. We did something similar in Coburg when we shot that bore, and I don't remember what it was, but they definitely have guidelines that they want you to do, so. But,
I just done sewer work on Harvey.
Oh, yeah.
and then we also had
Out there, but it's way deep.
we also had something we added onto, it was an added for us, we had some conduit, we had them install between vaults that was not on the bid, so there was a change order, so. Anyways, I was real pleased with the dollar figure, especially when I saw the next one coming up at over 600.
Yeah.
I think it was 650, 690, something like that.
And no one will ever
That's
tear it
really
down
big.
again.
What's that?
And no one will ever tear it down again when a nice storm.
No, exactly.
That's right.
Yes.
We spent almost a week getting that service back up over I-5 there in the store.
Yeah, we toured that one here a few summers ago. That was a real good show. Yeah.
All right, we're just about at the end here.
You're up.
Your resolutions?
Yep.
Number 12.
So consent agenda. There's minutes, there's approval of claims.
I would move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Second? Yeah. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Order contract approvals,
None of those tonight.
motions and resolutions.
All right, we take these one by one. So typically what we do is we have a budget resolution and a rate resolution. So the first one is just the budget without the rate increase. I do want to just identify what we're proposing here. So we did modify the budget based on the Bonneville surcharge that we found out about. It was less than we expected, about $169,000. So what we're proposing for approval includes that cost, but it also includes what I would characterize as pretty minor expense adjustments that we want to at least identify right now. We can kind of figure out next year exactly where they're going to go, but we've got them identified to offset that Bonneville cost increase. So that's the revised budget proposal that we're asking for approval on. On this sheet here, I have the rate increase also at 5% because that's where we left it at the last meeting. So if you look at this, the costs are the same, but the revenue is down from 6% to 5%. But that's a separate action that we'll talk about in just a minute. The budget that we're voting on, if you want to just enumerate it here, is a $75 million 841,863 budget. That's both operations and maintenance as well as capital. 56.9 million is total expenses excluding capital is 56.9 million. Total capital is 18, almost 19 million rounded up. We have a 3.3% cost of living adjustment effective January 1st for staff. We've got some additional mid-year adjustment placeholder in there at 161,000. And finally, we'll consider the rate revenue as part of a separate action.
I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
So how do we fit the overage in our ending balance estimate into those numbers?
So right now, there's nothing that's assumed. If we want to talk about the contribution that a 6% versus the 5% would have made, it's about $500,000, $400,000 is the difference there that we would have used to supplement our cash reserves. So what we could do is say in 2025, if results come in what we think they're going to, we could identify that amount and put that into our operating cash as opposed to spending it on capital, and that would achieve the same purpose largely.
It seems to me that, now correct me, we think it's not guaranteed, but we think it'll be about $2.5 million additional. Is that correct? Budget?
The next year?
Yeah,
Or
no, the
this
ending
year?
balance of this year.
I think it's like 3.1 million is what we said, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm suggesting that maybe we ought to consider, rather than using that, and this is just a proposal, I don't think it really affects voting on this, but we ought to consider putting that into our general fund money to either offset some of the budget next year and leave better ending balance numbers, and then the outside chance that we have another storm.
Mm-hmm.
A little more cash on hand than we planned, since we benefit from this, maybe we ought to not use it to buy capital.
Okay.
And go ahead, correct me if I'm wrong, we're paying interest on the capital money one way or the other.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking we should use that capital money the borrowed capital funds for the purpose they were borrowed for. And
Yeah.
save this potential windfall, should it occur, and we hope it will. And just put it in our general fund, and if nothing else, we'll bank it against the future rate increase in 27.
I think that's definitely doable. Just to speak to the numbers, the 5% versus 6%, this is skipping ahead a little bit, but the days operating cash was the number we were concerned about.
Mhm.
You can see under a 5%, it increases, but we don't ever quite get to the 150. The 6% gets us there by 2028, 2029 is even better. We could do some analysis and look at how much would we want to stockpile from this year's results to still make the kind of progress that we wanted to make at 6%. It's not going to quite get there because the rate increase is cumulative and that adds up a little more over time. But we can do some analysis and bring it back to say like what portion of that overperformance in 2025 do we want to keep.
So is that days cash on hand a internal number that we should set?
Yeah, it's a
It is.
target, well, the target the board set some time ago.
So it's not,
But it's a guideline from the rating agencies that they want to see. So,
okay.
yeah, they've told us 150 is what they.
So there is
yeah.
merit to it.
Yeah.
if we overborrow.
Yeah, it's not just made up. It's legit.
Are we talking about operating cash on hand or total cash on hand as the measurement that they use? I'm not clear about that.
They typically look at total.
So
you know,
we're according to them, we're in compliance now then.
Yeah, but that's we kind of want to
But that includes part
that
of
includes
money.
capital money that we know is going to go toward capital work. So we don't like
Operating
to look at
cash
that.
seems better.
Yeah.
So the rates committee recommended 5%.
That's right.
Which, so this one, you got 6,444. What's the back to the 5%
Yep.
chart?
Same
Is that
thing.
5,444?
Yep.
So if it was 5,544.
That would accomplish the same, a little bit more. We think 4%, again, lets us make some progress here. We don't quite get to 150 in that scenario, but yeah, you could do a 5.5 or something. They did tell us they'd like to see consistency, and so that's why we tried to settle on something. And we felt like 5 too far out. Doing 5.55 gets you a little higher than you want to be. So 4% was kind of enough.
So if we added an extra $2 million from so-called operating margins from this year into those numbers, what does that do to them?
That would make it look pretty good.
I can't do that math in my head right now.
I can't do that on the fly, but that's
It's
certainly
about 3% of our income or
Yeah.
of our budget for next year.
Yeah.
$2 million.
I mean, we could put our heads together between this and the next meeting and bring you back a proposal for that to use some of this year's results.
Well, that money would help that parameter get better, and it doesn't hurt us because we're not gonna be using any money for capital
Yeah.
we didn't already have set up for it.
Yeah, essentially all it does is we will use a little bit more of the borrowed funds sooner than we would have otherwise.
Well, but we have the fungibility to move that extra money wherever we think the biggest need is going forward. That's what I like about it. We spend it on capital, we can't get it back because the other money is dictated, has to be used on capital.
Yeah.
I think we should keep it where we can move it where we need it as time
Okay.
develops.
Okay.
Call it a storm fund if nothing else.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I don't want everybody else.
Which I think that's a real thing.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the budget still?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We kinda got
off track.
before approving.
I just wanted to be clear about
We're
the
trying to, yeah,
room we have going
Well,
forward.
all the assumptions ignore the $3 million.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
ignore, everybody knows it, but it's not
Yeah,
in there.
Yeah,
So
that's what I meant by
how
bringing
that
it
3
up.
million affects, if we approve the budget, we're gonna really have, if we approve it as it is, which fine with me, we're gonna end up with $3 million.
and I think that's the message is like, I just want to give you a level of comfort that 5% is okay. And we can use some of this year's results to achieve the same thing that a 6% would get us next year.
That's the way I feel too.
with no cuts, no.
We can look at that. I mean, I think the cuts are really just to offset the Bonneville change, the surcharge. I don't think those cuts are going to be all that impactful at the end of the day. We can find those in the budget and make sure that they're reasonable.
Compared to
I looked at those, they're within the margin of error.
Yeah, they really
They're
are.
very small.
Yeah.
They're very small.
You can't
And
get it that close.
some of the areas that might be a little more impactful, we'll have some time next year to make sure that we're not hitting any programs that we don't want to hit.
Well, a 1% difference in money's gonna, what an average homeowner is gonna save a couple bucks a month.
Yeah,
7.
I think it's more to me, it's the messaging around like supporting what the rate committee wanted to do. We have had some phone calls, Kelly said, from customers already about, oh, another rate increase. So it's small, but it's a nod in the right direction, I think, toward keeping things reasonable.
Well, everybody's read the news, everybody really that pays any attention knows power rates are going up all over the US.
Yeah. And we're
We're
still
in a really
reasonable.
fortunate position, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What's Patty?
Yeah, I'm following right along with you.
I was just wondering, any input?
No, there's all our brethren. I mean, how much is Lane going up? How much is Bletchley
Yeah.
Lane going up? How much is eWeb going up? I mean, a lot. So
Yeah.
we're at 5%. We're okay.
That's how I feel.
Well, I could go with either number based on what everybody else wants to do. I don't think there's really a wrong answer here. But I agree, the lower it is, the better people, we're gonna accept it.
Yeah.
I don't want to spend any money we don't have to have other people's money.
I think if we were tight this year, the results weren't coming in great, then I would certainly point you toward the 6. I think we can accomplish the same thing with the results that we got this year.
I don't disagree.
Hopefully build a little goodwill with the rate committee and some
What do
others
you think,
too.
Earl? Well, are you ready for a motion, Mr. President?
So the first one is on
Yeah.
14A, the
Yeah.
budget.
I would like to propose that we adopt resolution 2025-27 to adopt the 2026 operating budget.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. So then the next was just an either or on either the 5% or the 6%.
I move that we approve 14 resolution 2025-28, adopting the 2026 rate proposal 5%.
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
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 Those opposed?
Aye.
That's up.
I think we're.
So we're 5%. 14 of these approved.
All right. I think that's the right call. I know that's a tough decision and it's tempting to go farther, but I feel comfortable with this.
I don't think it's a tough decision.
I agree. I feel fortunate it's not a higher rate increase than it had to be than it is. Nobody likes it, but it could be 10 or 15.
Any increases be
Easily.
so we'll message this. We've got a whole communication plan that we'll come out with. I'll do a video. We'll talk about what we're doing, why, all that. The good news is we're doing April 1st, so we don't have to necessarily emphasize this during the holiday season, but we'll just let them know the budget's passed. It's got a rate increase.
I'm thinking 3 years down the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
After what will then be 5 years of rate increases. And I think at some point we're gonna start to feel it.
Well, we'll see. Yeah. We'll have some options. Hopefully we'll get these operating cash numbers back where we want them. And then we can look at holding the reins a little bit more too and trying to maybe 4% is the ceiling and we can try to change that. We did hear though, sorry.
Oh, no.
We did hear that the rate committee was pretty clear. 5% sounds inflationary. Anything going too far above that is more. And so we can be consistently under that number, I think.
Agree. I agree we did the right thing. I think we're good.
Well, thanks for going through. I know it was a lot this year, back and forth, changes, a lot of stuff, but I'm glad we got what we did, so thank you.
Like I say, it should get a lot simpler with the Bonneville thing being more
For sure.
of a factor.
Yeah.
We still have one more too to vote on.
14D is authorizing transfer restricted funds.
So the only notable deal here is this only is through July 2025. So our staff upstairs that normally does this has been out. So we did half a year here, which means it's fine. We're not in a cash crunch, but we'll probably come back with something next year that would account for the second half of 2025. See the projects were included in the packet, I believe, on what we're spending this on. The only weird thing in there was a couple big negative values, and those related to either FEMA jobs or the Bonneville transmission reimbursement.
I would move we approve resolution 2025-30 to authorize the transfer of restricted funds from our loan accounts to pay for capital expenditures.
I second.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? None.
Yes, thank you.
I have a Okay, item 15, review of the motions and action items.
There's a motion to approve the consent agenda. That was unanimously approved. A motion to approve resolution 2025-27 adopting the 2026 budget proposal. That was unanimously approved. A motion to approve resolution 2025-28 adopting the 2026 rate proposal of 5%. That was unanimously approved. And a motion to approve resolution 2025-30 authorizing the transfer of restricted funds. And that was unanimously approved.
And I'll take as an action item to bring back a proposal around our operating cash, sir. I figure out how we want to handle
Was there not some true up money from Bonneville too?
There was.
Was that significant?
That's part of what's driving those results on.
So it's already cooked into
Yeah.
these, okay.
It ended up being very sizable, as you saw, $500,000 for the slice true up credit. They gave us some back payment for things that they calculated wrong, so.
That's actually a 1% right there.
That's big, yeah.
Almost.
Stuff
Yeah.
that we didn't count on, so.
Give us a bill and then they give us credit.
That's how they do things.
That's what happened.
They give it and take it away.
Honeymoon.
So, do we have any public comment?
No public.
No. Suggested items for future meetings?
It's not a suggestion item, but we need to address this meeting starting at 3 o'clock versus 4 o'clock. We changed
For this meeting,
for this, for the we changed it for Patty,
right?
Right.
and Patty's not here.
Well, not today. I just drove 150 miles. I just barely got here. But going forward, that'll be very helpful. It's 45 minutes from my office to that office. I appreciate you guys being considerate.
I don't mind it being different. I just like to have it the same.
We just want to be consistent.
I was almost.
Yeah,
here too.
let's do it all at 4 o'clock.
Right.
They got a big problem with that.
Doesn't matter to me. I can go either way.
So, yeah, I don't have a problem with it. It's kind of presumptuous to all of a sudden make a commitment that conflicts with the 3 o'clock meetings.
Sorry, some of us have to work for a living.
Well, but
Bugger,
you
you know what?
already had a 3 o'clock commitment, everything.
If you guys, I don't know what's going on there, but 4 o'clock would be lovely for the meetings.
I don't have a problem with 4 o'clock, I'm just saying
Good.
that presumptuous. So, is everybody comfortable with 4 o'clock?
I don't have a problem with either time. It's fine with me either way.
No, it's whatever.
So we'll make it 4 o'clock.
For the rest of the year.
Okay, let's have 2 more meetings.
For the rest of our lives. God.
Do it like Kyle.
By the way, I just drove from Bandon today.
Well, I just drove
Down to
from.
Bandon and
I
back.
think it's time to go home.
Yeah,
So,
I think so too.
you are home.
I just drove from Portland today, so there you have it.
what about you working?
Let's go home.
God, you guys. Oh my
I thought
God.
we changed it because you were
You know
what?
working. That's what
It's
we
time
were-
for. I'm leaving now.
Upcoming,
Are we adjourned?
no,
Well, what are we waiting for?
upcoming meetings and events.
Okay.
So there's no BBC Enoch in December.
Christmas.
Is there a Laputa?
Nope.
I think we
We're
decided.
done
to
for
go.
the year.
Oh.
I think.
Yep, we got a board meeting and
2 of them.
you can all take the rest of the month off.
We'll get that second meeting scheduled for the first week or 2 of December, I'll let you know.
Okay.
If it was, I gotta be in Portland that night, 9. So if it was, I'd rather not have a meeting that day, but
Okay. We could probably fit it on the 8th. I'm supposed to be in another meeting, but I think I can exit.
Do it the week before, do it the second. So if,
Yeah, I'm okay. It's gonna be a short meeting.
that's
yeah.
2 weeks from now anyway.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on whether we're.
Did you have a conflict with that first week, Patty? The second?
No, the second. I can probably make that.
Depends whether Chad's free.
Okay, I'll check with Chad and we can see. Try to make that happen.
we're now adjourned.
All right, thank you all.
When you can, you to pull that plug for me. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And thanks for being Zoom. Excellent. No, we just.
Oh, I wasn't you.
That was ridiculous.
Well.
Queen Patty.
Yeah.